Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a bereavement specialist. And I welcome you, Susan. Nice to see
Thank you,
you.
Lisa. So nice to see you after the holidays here. But we still have a really important holiday coming up. I'm Susan Capurso, end of life doula and legacy specialist. And Lisa and I thought about it. We all think new things as the holiday approaches. I'm talking about New Year's, right? Because we're doing this video. New Year's is just next week. We planned on keeping this video short, but we just wanted to throw something out there to you because so many of you maybe have recently lost somebody and you're going into this new year fresh, and it's a scary thing. It's very scary and overwhelming because in your head you're not thinking, oh, 2024, a new year to rejuvenate, to change things, to make a goal list, you're not thinking those thoughts that the average Joe is thinking. You're thinking, new year without my loved one. I don't want to do this. How am I going to do this? And the last thing I want is to go into a new year. Put my head under the covers now.
Yes.
And Lisa and I are here to tell you, that of course, if you've been watching some of our videos, that we've both been through a tremendous amount of loss. And it's even harder for you right now during the holidays. So as the new year approaches, depending on where you are on your timeline. And this video may not be for everybody, but it's something that Lisa and I want to bring to your attention just to maybe help in some small way. So today we will be discussing just a few ways to maybe approach the new year. I don't want to say without the tears because that may be impossible, right? We both know that. But perhaps to think a little bit differently and outside the box than the way that you've been thinking in years past about the new year. Okay? So let's start with that, Lisa.
Okay.
First thing we want to talk about is really it's important to acknowledge your feelings. Wouldn't you say that, Lisa? Because
Yeah.
just because you're grieving doesn't mean you're acknowledging what's happened, and acknowledging all your feelings. Journaling helps do this, right?
I'm talking to people who really care about you and love you and accept you and understand. Not the people who say, get over it already, okay? Not those people. The people who really care about you and understand that grieving is a process and you just don't get over it, okay, everybody?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So by acknowledging your feelings, and you may not have people around you, you might not have a support system. Maybe you were a couple who didn't have a lot of friends. You did everything together. Okay, that's a possibility. Maybe we're talking about a parent here or, a child in the family. I don't know. But some of these things, you may not have that close person to lean on and to put your head on their shoulder and for support. So you need to take a little bit control of the reins here and acknowledge feelings that you're going through. And that's why I said the word journaling, because that's a way to do this on your own. Pick up a notebook, just start scribbling down words or sentences, yell, you know, breathe in the pages because sometimes that helps.
There's a book that my cousin got me and just for whatever, and it was 360 days of something or other. No, you know what it was? She got it for a friend. That's what it was. 360 days of grief. And every day has like a quote or something, and you can put stuff in it. It's really
That's a great idea, Lisa.
beautiful, beautiful, lovely book. Yeah.
That's a great idea. And you may not find it in your local bookstore, but guess what? Amazon these days has
Mhm.
everything. So
Yes.
do a search in their books for grief journals, anything
Yes.
like that, and find the one that resonates with you. That's a good idea for the new year. I didn't even think of that one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Realistic. Let's talk about that for a minute, Lisa.
Let me just say that we're all hard on ourselves and we expect crazy things. And so part of it is that we need to accept who we are, what we are, where we are. So don't be hard on yourself and go through this whole thing of, well, I have to be this, I have to do that, I have to do this. Don't do that because it's not taking care of yourself. It's not nurturing yourself. And it's unfair to you.
And to everybody around you. I would say a realistic expectation of yourself is to be gentle with yourself, to know that you are so fragile right now and you're breakable.
That's
You're
right.
like a piece of fine glass, piece of fine china. And if you know this, then baby yourself. Baby
True.
yourself and be gentle in the things that you do. Maybe let go of some of the loudness and the craziness in your life and bring in more things that help you tone it down and be quiet or be alone. Make that sacred space for yourself. And just think of the word. The word for me was at that time was gentle.
Mm.
I needed to be gentle with myself and baby myself. That was another word I use. And I've mentioned this in a few videos, but I'll mention it again. So I would go to the nail salon and they would massage you after you got your manicure or pedicure. And I went more often than usual because I just loved that feeling of babying me and making me feel good and touch
Nice.
you know? That's not for everybody, right? We know
Sure,
that,
sure,
but
sure.
that was the one thing that I found to acknowledge and my feelings and to be gentle with myself. What about, Lisa? Talk about a little bit about creating a self-care routine.
Well, there probably are things that you thought about or that maybe you've done in the past, or maybe you need to find new things, whether that's a walk or whether that's going downstairs and doing just dance, routine kind of thing or some kind of fun thing. But self-care means you're going to look at yourself and say, what do I need? How can I feel better or different or something? And so acknowledging your needs, it is okay to need and okay to even ask for support, which I know most of us have difficulty with. It's hard to ask for help. It is. But people
Yeah,
around you want to do something. They want to help. They don't even know what to do for you. So believe me, you'll be helping them help you too.
that's
So,
right. And part of self-care, believe it or not, is nature.
mm,
Getting out in nature. I know, like, even something as simple as Lisa, by you, it's just a few minutes to drive down the road and there's a lake there. And you can walk around this particular lake. And we met there one day and we took a walk.
yeah.
And I won't forget that because just walking around that lake, it's beautiful. So when you're looking at beauty, you can't help but feel the air on your skin and feel a little better. And just by getting out, even if it's for a half hour, an hour during the day, you feel differently when you come back into your space.
However, it is hard to get out, okay, because it
Yes.
feels horrible out there. It feels scary out there. So take small steps, little at a time, maybe walk to a corner and come back or something, but just be gentle with yourself and understand that it is hard out there because you feel very alone, you feel very isolated. So just be very caring and very good to yourself. Easy.
Yeah, you're very right. You're very right about that, Lisa. I mean, even just and depending again where you are in your timeline, but even getting in my car and taking a drive, I remember the fogginess. For some time, I would jump when my phone rang because I thought maybe he was calling me. You
Well,
know, these are
well.
strange things, but they're all little things and different things that can occur in a person's life. So don't think anything is too strange or too odd.
Right.
Maybe your loved one used to be the one to go to the mailbox and get the mail every day, and now you're doing it. So it's little things like that that can trigger.
Yes.
A big trigger of mine was putting the ornaments on my Christmas tree. Big trigger, you know?
I want to talk about triggers for a second. Triggers are always so scary for people because they're afraid of how they feel. But I want to tell you, those triggers are symbols of the fact that that person still has still has memories around you. They surround you. And so I look at the triggers and it's okay to cry. It's not like the end of the world. Um, but I also say that it looks to me like that person is still there. And so if you
They're
look at it
raising
that,
awareness
that's right.
within you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And so it's like for me, 18 is my number. Okay. 18 is high actually in Hebrew. It's a Hebrew letter. It means life. Okay. And he was born on the 18th, my husband. Okay. And I always end up on track 18 when I go into the city, always. And sometimes I end up with table number 18. And sometimes 18 comes up in conversations. And I feel like, wow, see, he comes back to me in different ways. This is like one of those ways. So the things that scare you the most, sometimes are the things that are going to be, that are going to help you.
that's
Okay.
right. That's
And
right.
we,
I'm glad you raised that. I'm glad you raised that point because it's very true.
yeah.
What about seeking support? You
Ah,
know, you might not have done that prior to now. And we talk a lot about support in a lot of our videos, so please check them out. Like them and share our videos as well, and follow the channel so we can gain a little momentum with our conversations. But seeking support, that could mean one-on-one, that could mean joining a group, that could mean joining a group that does things together and
yes.
just gets you out of the house, right? You
Yes,
know a lot about support.
there are activity groups that are great. I wasn't looking for anybody, but I joined this activity group where less obviously single people were there. And it was just wonderful just being out with other people. That's it. And just doing things. I felt a little less isolated. I felt strange at first, didn't feel comfortable, but I said, I'm going to try this and give it a chance. And I did, and I really had fun. I met one of my dear friends through that. We met white water rafting of all things, and we had such a fun time. So it doesn't even have to be a widowers group or whatever group. It can just be a group that does activities. By the way, meetup.com is amazing. You put in something, I like reading books or I like to hike or whatever it is, and all these groups come up. You put down Long
Yeah.
Island, obviously.
And they're a big help.
They're big
So,
help.
you know, again, remember we talk about this a lot. Seasons change, things change. So that means in order for you to move with the flow, you need to change a few things in your mind as well. And stepping outside of your box is not always easy, but you may be surprised. So keep
Yes.
that in mind for the new year. What
Yes.
about practicing gratitude, your own practice of gratitude for the things in your life? Go ahead, Lisa. I know.
I'm big in memories, you know that. And
Yeah.
so to hold on to these incredible memories that you have is an amazing gift. And it will get through a lot in your life, no matter what.
Now, in
Mem
case somebody didn't hear this before, share your little image of the little jar and the ball of grief because
yeah,
that's very pertinent right here.
it is. It is. I would have to I'll try and find it. But I didn't get it
That's
over
okay.
here.
We were making this a short video today.
We
So
are.
so just explain it.
Okay. I might even have it right here. So just give me 1 second because these jar of grief is just amazing. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, just incredible. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I'm just going to I will do a share screen in a second. I just wanted to pull it up so it was there. Okay, and then I will share it with all of you so that you really understand what grief is about. I love this. So everybody thinks that grief over time means that so here's your jar of life, and grief is that big, big ball, okay? And over time, grief is going to shrink, shrink, shrink until it becomes a little ball. That is not true. Here's what happens. Here's your jar, and here's your grief. You see how grief stays the same? However, your jar of life grows bigger. And what they say is what really happens that we grow around our grief. That's so true. What a
Yeah.
great way to show what grief really is over time. Just beautiful. Beautiful.
That's fantastic. Thank you for making us wait for those
Sure.
that minute because I just love that. It's a lot of these things that we talk about, whether it's before a loved one passes, during the experience, after, it really it really is your perspective,
It is.
right?
Attitude
Isn't
is
perspective
everything.
a big word?
Yes, it
It's a
is.
big word, and somebody might say, "Oh, perspective, means nothing." But it really does
It
because
means
look at the
everything.
picture. Look
I
at
have
that
had,
picture. It changes your whole thought process.
yes, it does. I've had people who should be happy and just are not, would seem like their lives should be wonderful, but they're not. And I've had people who have all kinds of problems and yet
Right.
they're happy. So, yeah, your perspective and
Big.
attitude and
And think about that with all the little things in your life. If I changed and my perspective, just stop and pause, sit with yourself and say, "Hey, if I looked at it this way, maybe if you gave that person the benefit of the doubt and thought, wow, they had a really, really bad morning and things are going terrible in their life right now, and they didn't mean to lash out like that."
yes.
It can change the whole way that you look at something and turn it around. Let's talk about setting achievable goals. So we know how everybody fails at their New Year's goal. For the few rare people that manage to complete their goal during the course of the year, well, let's
Yeah,
all
good for
applaud.
them. Yes, good.
Right, because there is a small percentage, and you hear that, right? That set your goals, think of what you want to do this year. Not everybody achieves it, but your goals are going to be a little different than those goals, right? So it's important to set small and focus on things that you can achieve, right? Can you give me an example, Lisa, of something,
Well, yeah,
a small baby step?
you're sure you're newly grieving and your friend says, I'd love you to come over for coffee and tea, and you think to yourself, can't do it. Can't go to this friend. Don't feel comfortable going to this friend. Well, you could say, all right, I'll come, but I can only stay half an hour. Okay. Or I'm just gonna come for a short visit. And then when you feel like that's it, you can't do this anymore, you leave. And you're upfront about it, so your friend doesn't feel hurt or anything, but you've set something that is okay for you, and
Boundaries.
it's going to be all right because you did it, you decided, and you have the parameters to make it successful. You went,
That's
and by
right. That's right.
next time it might be an hour, you know?
There's another thing about that I'm thinking about, that there's something in us as human beings that we like to plan. Now, not everybody,
True.
okay, but we like to have a plan in place, some of us. And if that comes up in a conversation and you know you don't want to do it, you don't want to go there for tea, you don't want to talk to them, you don't want to, maybe you can be a little more flexible and suggest it for the following Saturday. And I say this because now it's on your terms, your boundaries, but you're also going to have the next 5, 6 days
To
to
prepare.
think
To
about it,
prepare.
prepare, know that you're going, feel good about it, and then get up and say, I got this now. I can do it. So unexpected things sometimes might not feel so good,
And
right?
yet the other thing is that maybe as you have these days, now you're dreading it more. So there's two ways of looking at it. Sometimes it's best for it to just happen quickly. There's no anticipation, there's no set of goals or anything. You just do it. So it depends on how you are and how you feel. But again, what we're looking for is you to feel that you are successful, that you haven't done something crazy like, okay, I'm going to go out, with all these people for the next whatever, whatever it's going to be. And
Exactly.
and then you're not ready or you just can't handle it or,
So whenever you can plan something, we're just saying it's a little
yes.
better. Out of
Yes.
the 10 things that I jotted down, number 8 I have would be to honor your loved one in some way. Maybe you can set some goals or some plans to do that throughout the year. Plan something for May, something that you can look forward to. Again, the planning helps you feel more settled in it
and
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 have
that
boundaries.
And that includes all the special days. Okay. The day the person died, the day the person was born, the day you got married, maybe the day, yeah, I mean, there's many days, Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever. And so look towards those days at ways to celebrate that person and bring them still in your lives and keep them there. And you will. You'll keep them there if you have the memories and you do some of the things that they enjoyed. Routines. I mean, I've been watching the same movie for a lot of years. Um,
Yeah,
and that brings me comfort. I don't know about
yeah.
other people, but that is great for me. And I do
Right.
that
So
for my
plan
mother.
some of
I
these.
do that for my father. I do that for my husband, watch my own home
Plan
movie.
some of these events, even if they're little, even if it's making their favorite meal and lighting a
Correct.
candle in your home by yourself.
Correct. Correct.
So little things like that. Did I bypass establishing healthy habits? Did we talk
Yeah,
about
we
that?
did self-care. Yeah, we did. We did self-care,
Self-care,
which
we
is
did
great.
talk
Yeah,
about.
we did. We did.
And then I have as number 9, embrace new traditions, start new activities. That's part of what we talked about, and rituals for the new year that can help you create a more positive memory and look towards next New Year's or the New Year's after, look towards the future. And you can do this by thinking of a new way to celebrate New Year's this year. And that's hard. That's hard. Even today, so many years later, for me, I had both of my son's girlfriends, both families invited me to come and be there on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. They both offered. And I thought about it, but then it just interfered with I had my other sister-in-law was going to come by and my couple nieces and nephews. So I said no, and declined. But my son said something to me about that. He's like, because my sister-in-law ended up she got COVID, so they didn't end up coming after all. And he said he forgot about that though. And he says, and you just said no. I said, no, I didn't say no. I thought that other people would be popping in. He said, you have to, think about doing other things on the holidays and just what we're talking about here. And I said to him, Jesse, if if I knew that they weren't going to be stopping by, I probably would have said yes. I would have said yes to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day and went. And again, so many years later, I still have to think outside of the box. And, should I go? Shouldn't I go? I don't know many people there. I'm not going to know people in the house. I'm not going to, you think all these things, right?
But what we pointed out was put it a little bit in your terms. I'm going to go for a couple minutes. I'm going to see how I feel, and then decide how long I want to stay. And if you know
Right.
that, then it's easier for you to deal with it because you're doing something on your own terms.
And it gives you a sense of control
Yes, that's right.
that, nope, I'm going for a half hour. If it's wonderful and I'm having a great time, and I got to
Yeah,
tell you, probably 95% of the time, you'll have a good time and
that's
you'll
right.
be happy that you stepped outside of your box, outside of your front door, right?
And by the way, let's point out something very important. Even though you're happy or feeling better, doesn't mean that you didn't love your loved one that much or that you've forgotten about your loved one or any of those things that people seem to think, the guilt thing, and that's not true. Okay.
Not true.
First of all, everybody who left us would want us to be happy. They
Of
want us to
course.
live life. They loved us to pieces, and they would absolutely want us to
Think
find.
about think about if it was one of us
That's
that
right.
had passed, okay? And we all believe different things, in the next realm. So it doesn't matter what those things are, but what I'm saying is that if we had the capability to think back about our families and think about our generations, would we really want them, crying in bed and not moving and
Nope.
becoming lifeless?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
we would say,
Gotta be
go,
one of them.
have a good time. I'm in such a good place. Don't waste your time being sad. It's all good,
That's right. Life
and we'll
is for
be
the
together
living,
again.
and people
Yeah,
need to hear that. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Thank you, Lisa. You say that all the time, and it does feel good when you say that, though, right?
yeah.
It
Yeah.
does. It makes a difference. And the last thing I have here is give yourself permission to be happy. And that goes back to what you're just
Right.
saying, and you know, we are, it's okay to experience little moments of joy in different things without guilt, right? And knowing that it doesn't diminish, the feelings we have towards our loved ones. And that's exactly what you're just saying.
Yes, yes. And as I told somebody who had lost a child, I said, your job now is to live the life that they couldn't live now. And she thanked me because she felt like there was a purpose now
Mm,
to live her life. She said she
yeah.
didn't see it that way before, which I thought was really interesting.
And of course you're probably only looking at the videos that are pertinent to you. I get that. But we recently just interviewed another woman who had lost a child. And I have to tell you, you might think that that video is not for you
Mm,
because that's not what happened to you. However, if you
mm.
have the opportunity to watch it, this woman is amazing
She
about the
is.
way that she's looked at grief and losing her daughter. I was so impressed isn't the word, maybe it is a little bit. I was so
Yeah,
amazed. I don't know what word I'm looking
yeah,
for,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I was just so in
I was
awe of
inspired.
her,
I was inspired by her. Okay.
inspired and in awe. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because really, if if
Mm,
if you could feel like that, if we all could feel like that, um, I think the world would be a more beautiful place if
yes,
we were to look at death and dying like this woman does.
yes,
And it was just recent. Uh,
it was.
it was the loss of a child, so something like that may be in the title. But if you have a chance to listen to it, listen to this amazing woman. Oh my gosh. And she even offered, and she doesn't
Yeah.
work professionally,
She
talking
said,
to
anybody who reaches
anybody.
out to me, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. You know.
She opened her arms after we had complimented her on her grieving abilities, and she said, I'll talk to anybody. She
Yep.
goes, I'll get in my car and go and give them a hug.
Yeah, it's true.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
could all feel like this woman does. So please try and watch that video if you get a chance. And we're going to keep this short again today, but remember that everyone's grieving process is so unique,
it
right?
is.
It's so different in every way, but you have to listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Think about that because we don't always. We tend to listen to the craziness in our brains. And we all have crazy in our brains. I don't care who you are. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. You would have laughed, Lisa, because the things that were going through my brain in the course of an hour or two that I couldn't fall back asleep. Finally, after about 90 minutes, I laughed at myself and I said, can you believe the 10 things that I'm pondering over in my brain in the middle of the night? Stop it. Just stop. Things like my friend recently opened a restaurant, and I'm thinking, is she playing the music that I told her? Did she find the playlist for her friend's restaurant that I told her to find? Who does this in the middle of the night? Guess what? We all do.
You'll do.
We all do. We all have brains that go a little bit crazy and scatter. So really think about what am I thinking about all the time? How can I change some of these bad habits? If it's very new, if you've just lost somebody in the last few weeks, I'm not talking to you because you need to go through that.
You
You
do.
need to be, you need to just sink like quicksand in this overwhelming
Yes.
grief. You need to do that. If I'm talking to people that are beyond that, this was months ago, say, okay, and you really are afraid to step into the new year. This is more for you.
It can even
Uh,
be years because every year people are faced with, okay, what is my life going to be like this year now without my loved one? And many people every year say that to themselves.
that's
Want to hear
right.
my deal? It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to create a new year a new you, a new life. And I always see it as an opportunity. Everything that's happened in my life, good and bad, has been an opportunity for me to learn, to grow, to change, to do every year.
Oh,
I'm
you
grateful.
just gave me the chills. You
I'm
gave me
grateful.
the chills. And on that note, we are going to say goodbye
And we're going
and
to wish
Happy New
everyone
Year.
happy and healthy new year. Embrace
That's
those
right.
people who are there for you and love you and care about you. Be open to new things and new ideas. And you will get through. You all will get through. Promise. Promise.
Promise.
All right. Take good care
See
of
you next year,
yourselves.
Lisa.
Okay.